Hey, what's up, guys? My name is Zach, and you are listening to the Attraction Game YouTube channel. In today's audio newsletter, I want to talk about how to get closure after a breakup. Now, there's a lot of advice on the internet about this topic, and a lot of it does work. The truth is that if you have a good conversation with your ex and they are an honest person who isn't afraid of being respectful but also open, you should be able to elicit some sort of information as to why the relationship disintegrated. But sometimes people cower or shy away from being too honest because they're afraid of the repercussions of doing so. Also, there's a lot of guilt and remorse involved with being a dumper. So, even though your ex may feel a certain way, expressing that to you may seem too harsh or too unnecessary to them. So, they'll find ways to explain the breakup in a roundabout way that doesn't really provide you with any closure. So, if that is something that you're dealing with, I want to give you advice on what you can actually do to get closure for yourself. So, for one, you can have a conversation. If you're going to have a conversation, it should be very casual. You should make your intent clear from the get-go. Like, hey, listen, I really appreciate the time that we spent together, and I'm happy that we can have a conversation. I just have some questions that I'd like to ask you. And the main thing that I'm looking for is closure to understand why our relationship ended, and I'm hoping that you can just have a conversation with me. Simple, clean, clear, and non confrontational. That's the approach. So you ask your questions, you get your answers, and this is an important point. When you get your answers, and if it's things that trigger you or upset you, it's kind of pointless to argue about it. Now, you may express how you feel. By all means, actually, say have your say. That's going to help you get closure. But to argue about it, to butt heads with your ex over it, is not going to help the situation. It isn't going to change anything. So, what you should focus on is expressing yourself in a way that allows you to relieve yourself of this pain that you feel right now. And also for the future, just to get closure. So, hear what they have to say, get the answer that you're looking for, and express how you feel without being confrontational or rude or lashing out. If that doesn't work, and in a lot of cases, no matter what your ex says to you, the feelings of uncertainty, of loss, of tragedy still persist. Like, I don't think there's anything someone can say to a situation that can't be changed that will fix things or just suddenly give you closure. I honestly don't believe that to be true. I think that when someone is dumped and they never foresaw it, you're gonna have a period of time where it feels like you just don't understand why it happened, and these questions will like linger over you, especially when you think about the future, what could have been, how things were, what was and what wasn't. These things are going to linger in you no matter what your ex says, and there's going to be some degree of distrust because during the relationship people make promises. Your ex may have promised that they will work through whatever issues they have, that they'll communicate with you, that they'll stick by your side. And now that they've just ended the relationship, it goes against the very promises that they made. So regardless of what they say, there's a they've casted a shadow of doubt over the words that escape their lips. So you may not be satisfied with what you hear, and even if it is true, it's always going to leave a bit of question or uncertainty in your mind. So once you have that conversation and express yourself, I think you need to focus primarily on yourself. And there are a few things you should do, and some of this advice goes against popular advice on the internet, but it worked for me, and I think it will work for you. Number one is don't try new things right away. Like, a lot of people will suggest that you should join the gym, start working out, start a new hobby, get a new job, but you are going through a massive change in your life right now. The last thing you need is more change to be piled on you and all of this external stimuli just hitting you in the face while you're trying to just get your foundation in place. I don't think that's a wise thing to do. So, what I suggest is actually laying low. Just do your work or focus on your studies and spend time at home. You don't need to be socializing right now. You don't need to be meeting new people. You don't even need to be in the gym. Now, I know that exercise is wonderful for depression, and that is important. If it's already a part of your life, stick with it. But for the most part, don't add anything new. Don't try to change up your routine significantly. You want to experience this painful period until you are out of survival mode, because that's what happens during the breakup. You get shocked and you end up in a survival mode, and you only operate on an emotional manner or like a survivalist manner, not necessarily one that's wired for long term happiness and contentment. The reason I say this is that you want to save all of these good things for once you're out of the survival mode. Because there's going to be a period where shock subsides and then sadness sets in, then loneliness, then a degree of depression sets in. And when those things come into play, that's when you can pile on new activities and new hobbies and new skills that provide you dopamine, that give you an outlet to release all of this pain and these negative emotions within you. You don't want it tied to your ex, because if you do it right now when you are like in shock, everything is going to be tainted by what has just happened. I've tried this before. I've been through a breakup and I've jumped straight into gym and I tried to meet new people. And no matter where I was, I would think about my ex. I would think about how much I miss them, how much I miss what we could have had. And it just spoiled everything. But in my last breakup, what I did was I waited. I took some time. I stayed at home. I focused on work. I didn't even see my friends for a while. I spent like a month in this routine of just sitting with it, dealing with the emotions, doing my work, and not trying anything new. By the 1 month mark, I was completely ready to try new things and to start improving my life in some way, because I was sick and tired of just laying around and thinking about the same thing. Okay, so the next thing you want to do is understand how to process emotions. Most of us either express our emotions, escape them, or suppress them. By doing this, the emotion resides within us and remains within us, and that can bubble over and develop into long term habits or negative thinkings that we want to just purge ourselves of. The best way to deal with hard emotions is to just sit with it, to not judge it, to not try to escape it, to not try to suppress it, to not try to even express it. To sit, to feel it, to not judge it, and to allow it to pass through us. Oftentimes, what causes us to suffer more is a resistance to suffering. Bad times are always going to be bad, but what makes a bad time worse is when we ruminate over why we are going through this. Why is it happening to us? Why is it so bad? Does it have to be bad? Do I have to feel these emotions? That kind of rumination makes bad situations harder to deal with. So, as a lot of, I'm not sure who says this, but the quote is that suffering is wanting reality to be other than it is. I think this might be Coach Corey Wayne, I'm not sure, but if that sentiment is so true. If you just accept reality for what it is, without judgment and without trying to escape it or attack it, you sort of break the power it has over you. So when you have any negative emotions, very powerful, overwhelming emotions, so with it, allow it to pass through you. Don't judge it, observe it, and you'll find that within 10, 15, sometimes even half an hour, the emotions subside. You no longer feel like you have to fight or flight, and you are able to process these emotions without vices or doing anything unhealthy. So practice this. There's a book called Letting Go by David R. Hawkins. I highly recommend it. I've also included a link within the article of a YouTube video that summarizes this principle, which I think will be very beneficial to you. So please check that out. The next thing I would like you to do is to focus on praying. Praying and meditation. These two actions together tend to have a very positive effect on your soul, on your mental well-being. I like the idea that everything that happens to us is either a test, a reward, or a guidance. If something has been sent to us that's difficult to do, there's always going to be some lesson to it. And if that's the case, that means it was meant for us and that we can grow from it. I like the idea that suffering is meant to be empowering. And ever since I've incorporated prayer into my daily life, it has reaffirmed my belief that what is meant for me will find me, and also that whatever happens to me, I can deal with. Okay, so apart from that, you want to find support, be around people who care about you, like family and friends. Make sure they're the kind of people who won't enable negative habits and negative thought patterns. You want people who are supportive, who are not going to go down a rabbit hole of how you could have changed things or what was your fault or why you dated this person. You don't want shame involved in this. You don't want judgment, and you don't want unsolicited advice. You want people who are supportive of you in the manner that they would sit with you, they'll comfort you, and they'll be there with you through the journey, even if that means allowing you to be upset, but remaining in your presence That's very important. If you don't have family or friends in your life, I suggest going to a therapist. That can be wonderful, especially if you can be open and vulnerable. And I think the last thing that you should do, and this is very important, is that you may have to walk away from your ex. Now, walking away doesn't just mean ending communication. It means letting go of the memories. It means letting go of the memorabilia that you have. It means letting go of the photos and the videos, the gifts. It means letting go of their social media profiles and not checking up on them. It means letting go completely. And that can be difficult because not everyone needs to let go of their ex to move on. This was something I grappled with because I know a friend of mine who managed to remain close friends with his ex, who he was in a relationship with for almost a decade, and they moved on. They were able to heal from each other, but they could do it while they remained a part of each other's lives. That wasn't the case for me, and that might not be the case for you. So if you've tried to be friends with your ex, if you've tried to hold on to everything that you once had, if you try to hold on to contact and you are suffering, it might be time to walk away. This might be the last thing holding you back from getting closure. So it may not be what you want to hear. It may not be what you want to do, but it might just be what you have to do to move on. With that being said, I hope you enjoyed this video and found it helpful. I can assure you that with time, with patience, with hard work, things will get easier and you will get closure. It's just a matter of time, honestly. And just being compassionate with yourself. There's no point going down a rabbit hole of self-hate and self-judgment. Reflection is important, yes. Self-examine, self-analyze to improve. But don't ruminate. Or if you are ruminating, stop yourself. Don't overly criticize yourself. Don't berate yourself. You did the best you can at the time, and if you didn't, you can now. That's what matters. So if you can do these things, if you can practice the advice in this video or in the article that I've linked below, I'm pretty sure that you can get closure and you can heal from this in a manner that is positive for you. You can grow from this. I honestly believe that if you took all of this pain and you channeled it towards self-improvement, you channeled it towards doing good in the world, you can come out of it a much better person, a much stronger person, and a much kinder person. Imagine the kind of person you'll attract in the future when you come out of this improved, wiser, smarter, stronger. So with that, I hope that you do it. I hope that you focus on yourself and I hope that you are kind to yourself. So that being said, I hope you enjoyed this video. Let me know in the comment section and I'll catch you in the next one. Take care of yourself. Bye.